Hello, so today we're here with the Roots team and they're going to talk a bit about their family history. And the first person that's going to share their family history is Tania. Hi, Tania.
Hello.
So I'm going to share what you found out.
So, Tania Woodhouse is my name. I am 34 years old at present and I work at Connecting the North. My parents are Shirley and Desmond Woodhouse. Together they had 4 children. My dad's family originated from Jamaica. My grandparents from my dad were Gloria Waters and Joseph Woodhouse. Gloria, my grandma, died when my dad was very young. Joseph, my grandfather, lived to many years and had many more children and grandchildren. My mother was born in Nevis, a small island in the Caribbean, in 1966. My mother worked in the health and social care settings for many years. Christine Merchant was my grandmother and Emmanuel Manners was my grandfather. They both came to England in the 1960s. Together they had 5 children and 7 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. Christine, my grandmother, was a nurse, which was hard at the time in the 1970s for a Black woman. My great-grandparents, William Merchant and Alfreda Naomi Hendrickson, were born to slavery. Together they had 7 children and 30 grandchildren and too many great-grandchildren to name. William never stayed in one place too long. His job took him around the island. Alfreda was of mixed heritage and her father was a Black man called Samuel Hendrickson, who was the slave, and her mother was a Portuguese. Great-grandma was a strict woman that spent all her time with her children. She lived a long life and died when she was 82. Not much is known about my great-great-grandparents, which were known that they were both slaves. Emmanuel Manners was born in Nevis in 1937. His parents were Rufus Manners and Annie Mills, who were both have passed away. They were both born into slavery.
Thank you. Did it shock you in any way that relatives of yours were slaves?
Technically, no, because I kind of had a feeling that they would be slaves. Because my grandma was born in 1948, and so her mum must have been born many years before that. It's obviously that she would have been a slave. She must have been born 18 something.
And was it ever talked about in your family?
Technically, yeah. When I went to get my vaccine, my mum told me that my great grandmother, which is my nana's mum, she was born into slavery. That's it. She didn't say anything else until she had to do the she had to phone my auntie's daughter to find out more about my my great grandma.
And how do you feel that happened to your family in your roots?
Technically, I don't know because I never technically met my great grandma, but there's a picture of which I have downstairs. And my mum's got like their photo album, and there's a picture of it downstairs. So it don't really kind of bother me that much.
But you found it interesting learning about your family history, haven't you?
Yeah, because literally my mum had to phone her auntie, and then she talked to her auntie, which is my nana's sister, and she talked to her daughter, and then she had to speak to her sister that lives in the Caribbean, which she told me about my granddad as well, and where he was born, and where he lived, and then everything.
So things that you never knew, you found out through this. Is there any other facts that you found out?
Technically, I all the when they came to England, they lived in Ipswich, which is a bit weird. I was like, when I was talking to my mom, I was like, why on earth, when you want to come to England, why on earth would you want to come to England and then come to Ipswich? And then she told me that most of her brothers lived his brothers lived in Ipswich. And then she said my auntie, which is my mom's youngest sister, she was born in Ipswich. And then she moved literally around the world, literally back and forth.
And what are your mum's memories of coming over to England after?
I don't know, because she
living
was
somewhere so different.
literally 2, so which is kind of confusing because my mum was 2, and then my auntie still lived in the Caribbean, and then she went over to Canada, and then technically she didn't want to come over to England, but she ended up coming when she was about 14. So literally, there's a huge difference between when my mum came and she was 2, and then when my auntie came, she was 14.
Fascinating. Thank you, Tania. That's so interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hiya, Peter. Are you okay to share your story of coming to England?
Yes, I will. And when I was 11 years old, I came to Britain, and then I'm studying in Lincoln City. And at that time, I was a happy person, and because they got a restaurant to work with, and we were working in the restaurant.
So did you help your mum and dad then in the restaurant?
Yeah, my uncle as well.
Oh, your uncle, sorry.
My father was hired by my uncle, and then we were working there, and then I was study until we moved to Pussy in 1982, the end of the in September 1982, we were moved in from Lincoln to Pussy and work on my own.
And what was that like?
We were well, yeah, it's okay. It was very fascinating stuff, because we didn't work on our own before, own job and own and property and everything, and we starting in scratch, and then we well, I've been training since at school, and studying in the college as well, and then here we go until now, and we were
And you've been back to Hong Kong, haven't you?
yeah, I did.
And what did you think of it?
Yeah, like, well, the food are great. The variety of food, yeah, and big. It was improvement, big improvement.
So it improved from when you lived there as a child.
Yeah, it was.
And do you know why your family decided to come here?
Why? You the why?
Yeah, do you have any idea why they decided to move countries?
About the democracy, really.
So it was
Everything,
political.
everything around the us, around us.
That's really interesting. Thank you.
Yeah,
And
thanks.
I'm just going to ask Tania, do you know why your family moved over?
I don't know, but it's quite no people from the Caribbean to either to send the children actually they go first or to send the children. Everyone that I've talked to that is from the Caribbean, I would send the they come first and then they send the children over.
So jobs and education.
Yeah, because my mum's partner, he's from Antigua, and he came over here when he was 9, and he was raised by, I think, was it his grandma?
Yeah. Thank you.